Welcome to the February 18th County Council meeting. Before we start, I just want to say a big thank you. Thank you to our crews that on the county's level have been plowing. They're lucky enough to be able to do a couple of shifts. And on the local level, where we usually only have one shift, and they've been doing pretty much all the hours that legally they can do. So much appreciated for all our crews out there. Thank you to the public for being patient as we're doing the best we can to get to your road. It's just with the wind, it drifts in so almost, within a couple hours of the plow going by. So, but a big thank you to all the crews out there. So, Madam Clerk, resolution to call to order.
It's moved by Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor St. Pierre, that the meeting of the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas and Glengarry be hereby called to order.
All those in favor? It's carried. Adoption of the agenda and any changes.
Through you, Mr. Warden, I'd like to request that we pull 9.4, the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus resolution, and offer our support. That's 9.4 in the consent agenda.
Thank you. So can we add that to miscellaneous then?
It's moved by Councillor St. Pierre, seconded by Councillor Bergeron, that Council approve the agenda as amended.
All those in favor? That's everyone's carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, move on. Adoption of the minutes. Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Landry, seconded by Councillor Broad, that the minutes of the meeting at the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas and Glengarry, held January 27th, 2025, be adopted as circulated.
Any changes or errors? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's carried. And delegations. We have Mr. Brian Hickey and Anna Ackermans. You guys can come on up to the table at the front here. St. Lawrence River Institute. I think we kind of get a yearly update from these guys, so looking forward to it.
Well, thank you for having us here. Our purpose today is just to give you an update on activities at the River Institute over the past year. And as probably all of you know, the counties were one of the founding partners of the River Institute. And the theme this year is, I was told the arrow key would work, but I need to use the mouse. There we go. So the theme today is celebrating 30 years. 2024 was our 30th year, and we're really proud of what we've done in 30 years, and I hope as founding partners you will be as well. So this is going to be a very quick overview. Now I can use the arrow. Yes. All right. So this is our board of directors, including probably several people you're familiar with. We have a volunteer board of directors and a great staff. This is our staff of 2024. When I started about 25 or 26 years ago, we had a staff of 5. I was the 5th person, and now we've grown to a core staff of more than 20, and we fluctuate between 20 and 30. A lot of our staff are postdoctoral fellows coming through on short-term placements. Summer students in the summer expand us to well beyond 30 people. We participate and deliver advanced training and professional development. In 2024, we had 4 postdoctoral fellows, 19 early career placements, young people just graduating with advanced degrees, getting their first training in the real world, and as well we had 16 co-op student placements, and I think our co-op placements are really highly sought after because they're career-oriented, they're not menial tasks, they're participating in advanced research activities. We address a variety of local concerns. You'll see some of them in the upcoming slides. A lot of my work involves conserving threatened and endangered species, including many of the species of bats that are now at risk. We have other colleagues working on eel conservation and a large number of similar projects. We're addressing other local concerns like erosion. The communities, the islands of Akwesasne are subject to severe erosion. There's debate about whether this is attributable to shipping or other factors. We're engaged in some research to clarify the source of the erosion and also provide some solutions and remediation actions to reduce erosion, like the picture you see up on top there, which I think might be Yellow Island. We're currently doing some work controlling invasive species, like this grass here called Phragmites, which is invading wetlands and reducing biodiversity in those wetlands. We work with the agricultural community to use new remote sensing techniques to try to more efficiently manage nutrients like phosphorus. And one really exciting development, the last thing I'll say before I hand it over to Alana, is we're just about to engage in a major expansion. This is money from the Canada Centre, the Canadian Foundation for Innovation, and this is the first time this region, as far as we know, has received federal funding from this organization. It typically goes to big universities, big hospitals. We managed to get money from this federal funding source to expand the River Institute. Our 30 staff no longer fit in our building. We're renting college space. We're running out of lab space. This is a $1.7 million project to expand the River Institute. It's part of a much larger multi-million-dollar grant, including our partners at Queen's University and Akwesasne. But more than $1.5 million of these dollars is going to be coming locally to expand the River Institute, providing spin-off jobs in construction along the way. I'll turn it over to Alana, who will talk about some of our hands-on environmental learning we do at the River Institute.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. Again, good morning, everyone. My name is Alana. I'm an environmental educator and biologist at the River Institute. So I get to engage in not only just the research, but also our education programming, and then also our outreach. So we do a number of different school workshops. We do both in French and in English. We have quite a wide range. What makes us unique is that we do in-person, hands-on workshops where students are engaged with the active research that we're doing at the River Institute, but then we've also been able to adapt our workshops to be online, so we have a greater reach and range. Down on the right is our map of range within Eastern Ontario, but in 2024 we've actually been able to do online workshops that engage students all the way out in BC and then also into the United States a little bit. We also run some special programming as well. This year we've been fortunate enough to work with BGC, working with summer programming for young children and then after school programs for young teens. We've also worked with the local Encore group from Glengarry. They've come and participated in some workshops at the River Institute here in Cornwall. And then we also do some special programming called Gifted Kids. It's with the Upper Canada District School Board. And so these students engage in different online workshops. It used to be in person, and then from COVID we adapted it to be online. We're also working on a new program this year is to help some skill building and professional development for rural high schools. It's an opportunity for these students to have some lab experience that they may not be able to get where they're currently located. And then, so we have a range with our education programs, but then we're also engaging the general public with a number of different programs and presentations that we do. We've held some fundraiser galas where we've also used that as an opportunity to share part of our research and then also some education. And we've also been working on the river strategy. And so we've been able to get an extensive outreach. One of the things that we do every year is called the River Symposium. So we have lots of people come in person but also attend online. We have different professionals who will give presentations on either research that they're doing or conservation initiatives. And so we hosted our last one in October in 2024, and it was a really successful event, and we did it over 2 days in person, and then we had an online day as well. And we've also education team hosts what we call Fish Tank, and so it's local high schools come and compete in a research proposal competition. And so also this year, the River Strategy has made some development this year, and we've hosted our first annual general meeting at Maitland Tower to get our local community members together to discuss the issues with the St. Lawrence River and look at ways to help our conservation. And so we have time for questions, and we also have a video to show for our 30th anniversary if we have some time.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Brian or Lana? Councillor Broad.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Statement and a question. Glad to see you fundraising, continue to fundraise, because that's going to help expand and grow all the activities you do. You mentioned briefly about the river. What interactions have you had in the past year with the International Joint Commission on Water Levels?
So Matt Windle and Jeff Rydell, they have been working with the International Joint Commission, acting as a bit of a liaison between the public and trying to bring those concerns of the public onto the IJC's radar. The IJC has contracted us to do some short reports related to that issue. So I think one of the roles we play is to make sure that the concerns of the local people don't fall off their radar. So yeah, I think I'm not sure we've been as successful as we want to be on that front, but we're definitely keeping the issue in front of them.
Yeah, just to follow up. Yeah, thank you, Warden. Certainly, this year we saw a really good stabilization of the water levels. So continue the work you're doing.
Yeah, so maybe I should take credit for that then on behalf of the River Institute. Yeah, we did that.
Any further questions? Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, so we'll just show, this is a video that we're proud of that we put together for our 30th anniversary. And it's only 4 minutes.
Click down here.
Water. It's everywhere. It's all around us. It's inside us. And in that way, water connects us to each other and all living beings on Earth.
The reason why we have life on this planet is because this planet has water.
The river is like the blood of my people, and it's the blood of the whole Mother Earth that's around us.
You can never get bored being out here. You'd never learn all there is to learn about it.
To me, it's a place of finding peace, exploration.
One of my most special memories was being in our boardroom here and having a scientist from Australia. And he looked through the window across to the river and said, "Do you realize that there's more water flowing past the windows here than all of rivers in Australia combined?"
The River Institute was born out of community concern for the health of the St. Lawrence River.
Well, it really came out of times where we took the river for granted.
We were wondering, as Native people, does anybody else care? We found a whole group of people that we had never talked to before that said, yeah, we care. We don't want that to happen.
It was time that we started to look after this river properly, and the River Institute was founded out of that kind of desire.
As a non-governmental charitable organization, we conduct research that responds to community priorities, questions, and concerns.
So an organization like the River Institute is able to get out there, do research, monitor water quality, monitor species, and actually come back and tell the community what's happening.
What you see is scientists here listening, understanding, working, and then incorporating and integrating into the research work they do.
We give young people a chance to learn science alongside real scientists.
So many people think science is too hard for them, it's too boring. Whether it's young kids or whether it's the community, we bring them out and we try to engage them in real science. We get them in the river, we catch fish, we discover things together. And that makes the River Institute and I think our teaching approach really unique.
And we have quite a few people that come through the River Institute, and this is their very first experience with the job.
Learning that there's actually a job, a professional job, that I could do these sorts of things all the time was really amazing, and I'm really proud that I've learned so much and gained this expertise that makes me an asset for the team.
We bring people together to empower action and celebrate different ways of knowing and caring for nature.
When you build relationships and you build them on peace, suddenly you see the world change.
There's a lot of exciting things coming in the future. Expansions of our building, expansions of our capacity to do research in terms of new types of equipment, and we're also expanding our collaborations.
Looking back at all that we've accomplished and looking forward to the inspiring next generation of scientists and environmental protectors, we have tremendous hope for the future.
The one thing we know about ecosystems is they're dynamic and they have a tremendous ability to recover when we do the right thing.
We say that respect is the first thing that you have to have. Respect for each other, the people, the animals, the river around us.
I see really inspired young people coming through the River Institute, and that's what gives me hope.
We have this incredible resource. We need to protect it. We need to make sure it's here for future generations to enjoy. What makes the Institute special? Well, that's easy. It's the people.
The people you work with.
It's the people.
The people who I get to work with.
I would say the people. It's the people and their passion for the environment.
The people in the river itself.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much. And we're going to move on to tenders and quotations. Mr. Dahan's going to come up. Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor St. Pierre, that the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry accept the tender from Roto Mill Incorporated for the Colden Place recycling with expanded asphalt and other related works on various SDG Counties roads at their unit prices totaling $5,347,674.16 plus HST, and that the Director of Transportation Services be authorized to sign all necessary documents to give effect to the contract.
Mr. Dahan, go ahead.
Thank you. I'll make it pretty brief on this one. A typical tender we award at this time of year. As the prices came in, looks very favorable to be on budget for all the paving work we were doing. The hot mix contracts is going to be presented to Council in March, and we, just based on our estimated rates, we should be okay. We did include in both contracts a provisional item so that in the event we do have to make an adjustment and remain on budget, we can pull an item from this year's work and defer it till next year if need be, but looking very favorable right now.
Questions for Mr. Dahan? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's carried. Thank you. And we're on to County Road 22.
It's moved by Councillor Landry, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas, and Glengarry accept the tender from A.L. Blair Construction Limited for the County Road 22 reconstruction and drainage improvement at their unit prices totaling $5,827,822.08 plus HST, and that the Director of Transportation Services be authorized to sign all necessary documents to give effect to the contract.
Go ahead, Mr. Dahan.
It's happening. Yeah, so very pleased to bring this report to Council today and thank Dana and the rest of the staff for all the hard work getting it over the finish line. We are in the process right now working with North Stormont through the municipal drain relocation piece of it, but that's well underway, and our expectation is that'll go smoothly, and our hope, I guess, and expectation is that'll go smoothly. Everything's lining up very well. We do have engagement with Hydro. We're expecting them to start in April is the estimate estimated time when they'll start their relocations. And after this is awarded, we'll start engaging with the contractor to talk when they come on site and when they are expecting to start work. But as council will see, we had a really good price from the low bidder on this project, which is great because it is a local contractor as well. So I think some favorable unit rates, maybe hometown discount, I'd like to believe. So we're very happy and happy to work, great to see all the bids we did get, and happy to work with A.L. Blair on this project. This is a very exciting project for the county, and very happy for us to be able to present this to council with a price that is very good. And what we will do as well, once we kind of get to our year end, and we've been chatting with the Director of Finance, we'll come back to council just to describe how we see it kind of playing out at the end. As council may recall, a majority of this was intended to be funded through financing, but depending on how we end up doing at year end with our reserves and whatnot, we may be minimizing the amount of financing altogether. So really good news story for the counties.
Questions on this one? Everybody just really, oh, here we go. Go ahead, Karma.
No, well, I thank you. You've really kind of hit the ground running on this in the last number of months, and it's really great to see this project actually coming to life. And I just wanted to mention the reserves to the tune of almost $5 million, which I think has been very successful in terms of putting that money aside and really minimizing the amount of debt that the county is going to have to take on, and as you say, hopefully even less. So I just want to say good job. Thank you.
Any further questions? Just a small one on my part. If the drainage or the hydro is delayed, is there work that they can do to get started so that it doesn't hold the thing up too long, the project?
We do definitely have some language. There is some restrictions because of the water course, so there's already language built into the contract for the municipal drain relocation work. So we have pointed the contractor, this is where you can kind of start, and anticipating as well that hydro will, they'll be finishing up as the contractor wants to start. So we do have some good language to make sure people play together and do the right things.
Perfect, thank you. Nothing further on that? All those in favor? And that was unanimous, as I thought it might be. The tender for the Inkerman Bridge. Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor St. Pierre, seconded by Councillor Manley, that the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas and Glengarry accept the tender from Delcon Constructors Limited for the superstructure replacement of the Inkerman Bridge at their unit prices totaling $1,413,100 plus HST, and that Council provide the Director of Transportation Services the authority to sign all documents to give effect to the contract.
Mr. Dahan.
I don't know if council took a look at table 1 in that report, but if this isn't the most competitive bid I've ever seen, I'm not quite sure what is. Like we obviously hit the market at just the right time with this tender, and it shows, and it's paying off for the county. We're able to do this project on budget, well under budget, and with very tight pricing from a bunch of contractors. Kudos to Matt and his team there for working through this actual tender. It's not an easy project. If you can picture Inkerman and where this structure is located, and we're actually removing the girders and putting new girders in while keeping traffic flowing through the town. It's going to be a very tight and inconveniencing project for sure, but except for some full closures that are required when we actually have the cranes in and doing the work for 4 days. 4 days. Other than that, we're able to keep the road open, albeit a narrower cross-section than what people are used to, in one direction only, or one lane open only. But all that to be said, I think good news story, and glad we're able to get this project done for Inkerman, and it'll be the last time we need to be this disruptive, at least in my career. One thing I did want to point out to council is we did determine it would be in everyone's best interest to have a community meeting on this one, just because of the requirement for road closures as well as the disruption to the community. So that's been confirmed, the date. It's on Wednesday, March 19th, and it's at the Savita offices. They've offered to host us there. That's right in Inkerman. And we'll just have an open house from 3:30 to 6:30. And certainly if North Dundas Council has any recommendations in terms of what they'd like staff to kind of have prepared in advance of that meeting, we were thinking a couple of display boards and just talk one-on-one, but if there's other feedback or input, we're happy to take that and roll with that, just to make sure, again, community is well informed and has an opportunity to answer questions that they might have as we're kind of working on this project.
Thank you. Questions? Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Fraser.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, through you. Just to piggyback to Mr. Dahan's thoughts about North Dundas and other things, and I'm sure it's not necessary to mention it, but if we could connect with the DFA well in advance and ask them a similar question about what things would be advantageous to have presented as you're describing with the displays of what's going to take place and the challenges. And I know our dealings with the DFA in the past concerning burn bans and burn bylaws, those connections are important to the ag community in our area, and so I look forward to them being well involved in understanding and delivering the message to the area. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Warden.
Thank you. Anything further? All those in favor? It's carried. And we're on to the Grady's Bridge. Madam Clerk.
It's moved by Councillor Rod, seconded by Councillor Bergeron, that the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas and Glengarry accept the tender from Willis Care Contracting for the rehabilitation of Grady's Bridge at their unit prices totaling $344,767 plus HST, and that Council provide the Director of Transportation Services the authority to sign all documents to give effect to the contract.
Mr. Down.
Thank you. A quick rehabilitation project that's quick. I say that in quotations, but a minor rehabilitation project that is being recommended for Grady's Bridge. This bridge is located on County Road 9, just west of Berwick. During the work, our proposal is to close the roadway. We've had good discussions with the Public Works Director at North Stormont to coordinate the detours, and that feels, we've got that all laid out, and that's included in our contract. Other than that, it's a pretty straightforward job. One of the things that we did include in this, just to try and accommodate the agricultural community as best as we could, we did know it was a shorter type of construction project, I think 10 weeks if I remember correctly. We identified essentially an earliest start date and a latest end date, and the contractor's allowed to start and finish within any of those timeframes, but it's got to be stuck to a 10-week duration. Again, just trying to really minimize the impact to the local agricultural community by picking a start date that's after the spring rush and an end date that's before the fall rush. So that was the intention there.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments? Councillor Andre.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Warden. I haven't had the chance, or I didn't bother talking to our public works. They were dealing with snow this weekend, so I thought we have time to discuss. But just out of curiosity, do you happen to know, did Blake mention what the detour, because I'm trying to run in my head where it looks like it could be a substantial detour, because there's nothing seems to be close by on the north, or sorry, the south side. So.
Through you, Mr. Warden, so we are using the Finch-Roxborough boundary heading north, and then we'll connect back to 13 to go around Chrysler and back through Berwick. And then we're also offering an alternative one for westbound traffic that'll see it come down Goldfield to 43 and back through Chesterville.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? All those in favor? That's carried. I thank Ben and his staff for getting these out early and bringing us good news, all under budget. We're moving on to County's Communication Strategy, 8.1.
It's moved by Councillor Landry, seconded by Councillor St. Pierre, that bylaw number 5483, being a bylaw to adopt revised policy number 1-25, SDG Counties Communication Strategy, and to rescind policy number 1-24, Corporate Identity Toolkit, and policy number 1-29, Social Media Policy, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
Go ahead, Todd.
Morning, Council. Thank you for the opportunity once again to address you on this subject. You recall from our previous meeting, we discussed the communications policy, and Council had some specific requests with respect to reporting metrics on communications activities as well as streaming of Council meetings. So this new draft of the policy sets out some specific parameters for reporting communications activities, including the production of an annual report, and obviously communications at any time is available to answer any questions or provide further insights to Council on any particular issues outside of that annual report. The new communications policy addresses the streaming of public-facing meetings, like council and certain committee meetings. SDG county staff will endeavor to ensure that a reliable technological link exists between the council chambers here and our streaming services before the start of a meeting. And we'll also attempt to repair any unforeseen or unlikely technological malfunctions that take place during the course of a meeting. Meeting chairs, including the warden, and in the case of a council meeting, they'll be consulted on how to proceed in the event of a technological hurdle. As an example, a meeting chair could request a short recess, and we could effect repairs to the system. In the event of a major malfunction that requires a meeting to proceed without a live stream, SDG County staff will issue appropriate communications to the public advising of that issue, and meeting chairs will always have the prerogative to proceed with a meeting at their discretion. That's kind of it for the changes to the policy. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Any questions? Did he get it right? I don't see any questions, so all those in favor? That's carried.
Thank you very much.
You must have done it. Social services funding policy.
It's moved by Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor Landry, that bylaw number 5484, being a bylaw to adopt Social Services Funding Policy 3-05, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
I believe Maureen's going to speak to this one.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. So following our last meeting with council, we have made some minor amendments to the policy, just highlighted in red. And we touched on governance bylaws for established organizations. And then we also added under the application process clarification that I will notify council if there's any requests that are coming in that we deem are not part of aligning with the policy or council's strategic priorities. And with that, we're happy to take any questions from council or if there's anything further.
Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's everybody, it's carried. And Madam Clerk, we're going to do procedural bylaw.
It's moved by Councillor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Manley, that bylaw number 5485, being a bylaw to govern the proceedings of council and its committees, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed. So,
I guess it's going to be you speaking to it, Madam Clerk? Okay.
Sure. Through you, Mr. Warden, this just brings our current procedural bylaw in line with the social services funding policy that we just approved. So you'll note on page 81 of your agenda package, we've added in another bullet to section 15.4, highlighted in yellow. The CAO will now have authority to refuse a delegation that's not in line, that's a funding request that's not in line with our current SDG counties policy. Thank you.
Any questions, comments? All those in favor? That's carried. And we're on consent agenda minus 9.4, I guess.
It's moved by Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor St. Pierre, that all items listed under the consent agenda section of the agenda be received for information purposes.
Anything to bring up further? Seeing none, all those in favor? It's carried. Boards and committees, warden's report. The warden was off snowmobiling for quite a little bit there in the last week or so. He didn't do too many things, though I did get home in time to do the polar bear dip in Alexandria yesterday. I don't know if I would be right to say I recommend it, but if you're brave and you want to try it, go for it. But it was cold. It was a cold day, and the water was cold. So anyway, but other than that, not too much. Other than our CEO is working to organize a meeting with our counterparts in the U.S. and across the border. So something hopefully will come on that in the next few weeks, just to kind of keep this Canada-U.S. thing going the right way. So joint liaison. Don't believe we've had a meeting since the last one. No. Library board, anything?
Next meeting is February 26th in Williamsburg.
Okay. Police Services Board, there's a meeting coming up, but nothing since the last one. The Health Unit, anything, Karma, since the last meeting?
Yes, we had a day-long strategic planning session held at the Castleman office, and so the Eastern Ontario Health Unit is busy putting together quite a significant strategic plan that's going to cover the next 3 to 4 years, and it's not finalized. Excuse me. So the board had quite a bit of input on that, and now the consultant's gone back to put the information together, and once it's complete, I'll let County Council know, and anyone who would like to have a look at it, I'll make sure to be able to pass it on. Thank you.
Thank you. Glenstone Lodge.
Next meeting, March 19th.
Thank you. St. Lawrence River Institute. Nothing. South Nation Source Water Protection. Nothing. Municipal Advisory for the Algonquin Line Claim. Regional Incentives Program. Nothing. Rural Education Committee.
Yeah, thank you, Warden. We're just trying to arrange a meeting, and I see that Chair Manley's here, so hopefully we can have a discussion after this meeting, and hopefully over the next 2 weeks we can arrange something.
Okay, thank you. Social Development Council. Carmen?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Warden. I just have some notes from Carolyn here. The Cornwall and Area Job Fair is busy being planned, and the date for that will be March the 26th. Also, the Social Development Council is partnering with the Chamber of Commerce to host a provincial election debate. Now, but the date has changed on it. It was supposed to be February the 12th, but they changed it, and I haven't, but I don't know what the date is. Does anybody have any idea? No. I'll try and get the new date. It may have already happened. And then the Vibrant Communities, Our Safety and Wellbeing Plan meeting. The next meeting will be held on February the 26th at the South Stormont Community Hall, in case anybody wants to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Any questions? No. Forest Working Group, there's been nothing. Well, I'm sure that the furry guy in the back there's been busy, but he has a report coming up later on something else, but we haven't had a meeting. Border Alliance, Jason?
Yeah, thank you, Warden, through you. So since our last meeting, I've met with the Mayor of Waddington, Mike Zagrobellany, had some great conversations to continue talking about Seaway, tourism, but more importantly, economic development in regards to tariffs. So he has our support that we should be following the the NAFTA agreement, the USCOM that we have today. But with that being said, over the last 2 weeks, the Borders Alliance throughout Canada have been trying to meet with their counterparts across the border, and that's been our goal to do that. Our next meeting is this Thursday. I have reached out, Mayor McDonald, Deputy Mayor Gaynor have reached out to be part of that, and we'll continue the conversations, and I'll send a full update to the council team after our meeting on Thursday. Just see where we're at and what's the next steps and things that are happening on that.
Thank you. And that's it for that. Key information, SDG Counties Conservation Easement Program. I don't know if it's Peter or, yes.
Thank you, Warden. Lindsay will just give a few points to summarize.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Sorry, so before I get started on what the actual program, the details of the program entails, excuse me, I'll just give a very brief overview of what a conservation easement is. So what it is, it's a voluntary, legally binding agreement between the landowner and a qualified organization. So for example, that would be SDG Counties, for example. And what it does is that it limits certain uses on the land in order to protect the conservation values. Public access is not permitted, and the landowner generally retains ownership of their property, but agrees to restrict certain types of activities, such as development, excuse me, or any large-scale agricultural activities. And that's all in an effort to protect the natural resources on their property itself. Conservation easements are registered on title in perpetuity, so in other words, they don't have an expiry date, and that all future landowners would be subjected to that registered agreement. So now going back to the program, so what it is, so this program was actually a result of the Natural Heritage System Study that was completed in 2021. And what it was, is it came as a key recommendation for the counties to develop as a tool in order to offer its residents an option to protect their significant features if they, all in an effort to continue to retain ownership of their land, but protect the natural features. So in the report, you'll see in Table 1, it actually summarizes the various options that the conservation easement would or could offer and how each of them would be processed. Option 1 is when we would offer the program or the conservation easement agreement through the consent application process, so that's a Planning Act consent. Say, for example, the landowner wanted to create a new lot or create a severance. If their property is eligible and there are significant features on their property that they want to protect, we could offer this in replacement of conducting a full environmental impact study. Option 2 is when a request can come as a standalone request. However, there would be a little bit more, I guess, eligibility criteria that staff would be mindful of in order to ensure that it does qualify. For example, it has to be a significant size, a significant feature, maybe location would be one of the criteria that we would want to be mindful of. And of course, option 3 is something that we currently offer. Option 3 in the table explains that one way to protect natural features throughout our counties is through land donations and ecological gifts. That is still our preference from, just through internal discussions from staff, that is still our preference in terms of an operational standpoint. We just find that it's a lot easier to, when we do own the lands ourselves, it's a lot easier to maintain, to monitor, and to enforce any sort of practices that we want in order to manage those features. There are many benefits to this program, and not only does it protect our county's significant natural features, but landowners also can benefit, not just through protecting the environment, but also they can qualify for tax reductions as well. So that's so the next steps in the program would be to continue to our research. We want to circulate it and reach out to the various townships to gain their thoughts and opinions on eligibility criteria and how we want to move it forward. But that's just an update that I wanted to give you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, comments? Seeing none, I thought there would be some. I'm going to make a comment of my own that I think it's great that we're trying to encourage this, and it is interesting. We'll see in closed session some more coming along the same lines. But the only reservation I have is if we tie it to the consent or severances that we're forcing people to sign this agreement, you know, in order to get a severance. I'm a little leery on that myself, but anyway, we'll see where it falls out. And anyway, it's nice to see that we're thinking ahead and trying to protect some of this land that we have.
Thank you. And that definitely would be voluntary through the consent process, just as an alternative. Sometimes we'll refer people to the forestry department, but they may not want to sell or give away their land, but they may be interested in the tax incentive instead. Yes, that's the intent, voluntary.
Oh, I had the microphone off, sorry. Any further questions, comments? No, thank you very much. And next one is, where am I now? Administrative update. Madam CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Not very much within my administrative update. We are now getting ramped up to recruit for some of our summer student positions. I do have some dates as well identified for the Good Roads Conference. So SDG will be in attendance, as well as I think many of our local members of council. I've put on for our calendar as well the Warden's Golf Tournament on Friday, May the 23rd. So we're hoping everybody will have that identified on their calendars. Maybe just in conjunction with some of the comments that were made with the Mayor's Alliance, Warden Lang and I are trying to meet with Chairman Lockwood in Franklin County. We're trying to set up a date for next week, so we're hoping to do that, and we will also send out an update to all of County Council following that meeting.
Thank you very much. Any comments, questions? No, thank you. And I guess, oh yeah, we have miscellaneous 9.4. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. A draft motion of support has been drafted for Council's deliberation. It's moved by Councillor Fraser and will require a seconder, and reads that the Council of the United Counties of Stormont, Dundas and Glengarry supports the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus resolution of support regarding the Canadian and Ontario government's measures they have put in place in response to the proposed U.S. tariffs on Canadian goods, and that a copy of this resolution of support and the EOWC resolution be sent to MP Eric Duncan, MPP Nolan Quinn, the EOWC, and local SDG municipalities.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there anyone willing to second it? Councillor Williams? Any discussion? No, I'm glad we're supporting it in a timely manner. It's nice to see these things happen fairly quickly, especially with this where it changes day to day between all those in favor. It's unanimous. Thank you. It's carried. And am I on 16? Motion to move into camera.
It's moved by Councillor Manley, seconded by Councillor Williams, that Council proceed in camera pursuant to Section 239(2)C of the Municipal Act 2001, a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board for a property acquisition matter.
All those in favor? It's everybody carried. So, Madam Clerk, do you have a motion to move back into open? Or?
It's moved by Councillor Broad, seconded by Councillor Landry, that Council rise and reconvene in open session without reporting.
All those in favor? It's carried. Ratification bylaw.
It's moved by Councillor Manley, seconded by Councillor Williams, that bylaw number 5486, being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution, be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed.
All those in favor? It's carried. And adjournment resolution.
It's moved by Councillor Bergeron, seconded by Councillor Broad, that Council adjourn to the call of the chair.
All those in favor? It's carried. Thank you very much, everyone. And hopefully, when you go home, your lane or your road is not blown in again. They seem to be blowing in pretty quickly. We'll see everybody next time.